Welcome to the Business Buyer Diaries. My name is Nathan Platter. I'm a full-time employee, and I bought a business. I did everything right, from finding the deal, handling all the due diligence on 63 opportunities, and ultimately bought a profitable gym. And boy, was I in for a big surprise as a new owner. I chronicled everything in real time, including the biggest wins to the stressful nights at 2 a.m. I'm sharing my journey without sugarcoating anything, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Here's today's episode.
All right. Well, some great news. The seller signed the letter of intent, and we are good to go. All right. Well, this is for everyone that doesn't really know what the difference between a letter of intent, a purchasing agreement, what the difference is, and why they matter for you as the buyer. So, when there's a business for sale, you go out, you submit something to the broker, and you say, "Hey, this looks like a cool business. I want to know more about it." And that's the front end conversation that's very open-ended. They'll send you like a brochure, the gym or the business is located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It does this much revenue, this much EBITDA or seller discretionary earnings or net profit. And here's what it does overall. It does this kind of business. The owner is present or semi-absent. But this is kind of some general info. And they won't tell you like the company name. They won't tell you like specifics or an address. And so they leave that out on the open. If you like the numbers, you like the general business model, the level of management engagement, or the employee size, at that point you say, yep, this looks good. I want to know more. I'd like to sign, what is it called? A confidentiality agreement. Basically, you're not going to take all this info and then blast it to the world or blurt it all out to everyone. You're going to be confidential. I don't know why I'm blanking on the words, but that's what you do. And so you sign something like DocuSign or similar so that you're not going to be exposing the seller's business to the world. At that point, they then give you a more detailed. So 2 years ago, it did this much profit. Last year, this much profit. This year to date, it's done this much profit. Here's the business website, the address, the business name, whether it's a franchise or an independent business. And here's what it's done so far. And at this point, you still have not met the seller. You usually haven't even met the seller yet. You only talk to the broker because the broker is trying to get rid of tire kickers, folks that are waste time, folks that are not a sure bet that you're going to close the deal. And so now you can check out the website. You can secret shop and show up as a normal customer, but you still got to keep everything close to the vest and not expose it. If you like what you see and you see 3 years financials, or you see you get to see the company website and things look good. At this point, you say, yeah, this looks solid. I'd like to proceed with an LOI or letter of intent. And at this point, it's 50-50. Either the broker will let you meet the seller and they'll say, yeah, okay, let's have you meet the seller and verbally agree, or submit a letter of intent. And then you can meet after there's a signed LOI. Reason why it's different is sellers pay the broker to not have to deal with tire kickers, interested parties, competitors. And so the broker is trying to get just a select few to actually meet the seller. The seller only really wants to meet one person, but ideally a couple people, so that if it's private equity that's a buyer, you as an individual as a buyer, or someone who's growing their portfolio of 1 to 5 locations, they want to have 2 to 5 options of potential people to sell to. And so at this point, you sign the LOI and you get that sent over to the buyer. Now, in my case, I had some industry but some things holding me back from 100% pursuing the opportunity. And so I wanted to get those run by a third party to confirm that I could proceed with this purchase agreement. So the broker said, hey, Nathan, you have a good background professionally as well as some industry experience. Even if I can't proceed today as a buyer, it's probably worthwhile to meet the seller because the seller is looking for more of a mom and pop type buyer, not a private equity or an institutional buyer. So we set the meeting and had a chance to meet the seller at the broker's office. So we're all three in the office, kind of shooting the breeze. What is it? And just me telling the seller, hey, here's my name, here's my background, here's what my vision is for your location, and here's my action plan, and here's what I'm going to keep, here's what I would probably not keep. And he has a really good business. I'm not going to change anything really to begin with. The marketing and sales are not quite tuned up, so that's where I'm going to be focusing since that's my background. He's great at the hiring, fulfillment, and the client experience. So all that to say, letter of intent, difference between that and a purchase agreement, letter of intent is a shorter document. It's an easier thing to draft up and put together. For ours, I got just a free template online. I wanted it to be like 2 or 3 pages so that it had some substance. Letter of intent says, here's the buyer's name, the seller's name. Here's what's included in the sale. So I did like the social media, the websites, the actual assets to the gym, and all applicable business assets. Here's the purchase price you wanted. Here's the purchase price I'm offering, which I gave full offer price. He was asking for a fair price, so I'm going to meet him there. Here's the financing that I intend to use. And yes, there is a contingency on financing that's important in the letter of intent. I am asking the seller to help carry some of the sale price so they don't have to do as much down. I also put in a target deadline. So we're kind of going quick. I have a 40-day. Well, I did the end of the next month. So right now it's a July, and I wanted to do end of next month so that we could get the September 1 membership dues into my bank account and have that come in like in the first couple of days of ownership. Here's the purchase price, down payment. Here's what I'm going to use as a lender. I put down their name and their lending institution, the contingency for financing. What else did I put in? They have another location that they're also looking to put up for sale. I put in there that by signing this letter of intent, then I would have first right of refusal or at dibs, basically, to buying their second location, assuming we come to terms on that deal as well. And to me, that was important because I want to grow quickly enough if we're on board to proceed at that pace. So that was important from my perspective. And it just drafts out what the general agreement is moving forward. It's kind of like agreeing if you're going to be an exclusive boyfriend-girlfriend, what does the relationship look like? Are you going to be dating forever? Are you going to get married in like 6 months, married in 2 years? Do you want kids? Just like the big questions out of the way. From there, once they sign the LOI and we hash out all those front-end things that could be a hiccup, we put those as soon as what's going to happen. One of the curveballs we had was the transfer fee. So with a franchise, the franchisor, the parent brand, they have a fee of changing ownership. And we thought it was going to be a set amount. And then the franchisor thought, due to some paperwork, it might actually be quite a bit more. And so we're hashing out those details. But we put into the LOI that buyer and seller will agree upon a transfer fee arrangement, which will be detailed in the purchase agreement. So we're just hashing out what's the relationship look like. Later on in the purchase agreement, that's going to get very detailed. So during the phase of assembling the purchase agreement, which it's going to take the broker like a week. When you buy a house, it takes like an hour to 3 hours, but here it's going to take a full week where everything is itemized and bullet, like everything is accounted for on every level. And that's once you sign the letter of intent, 2 things happen. You start drafting the purchase agreement. In my case, the broker is going to be doing it. And we're also going to be undergoing due diligence. That's where I had to see everything whatsoever. So I'm going to be able to see the hiring schedules. When did each employee start out of the 15 trainers? I'll be looking at pay rates. What are they making per session or per commission? What are the sales for their retail clothing, their supplements? What's the lease agreement? What are the options for extending the lease? Because those are going to be important for me. What are the tax returns, like the full tax returns for each of the past 3 years, the monthly profit and loss statements, like everything possibly there. Even I want to see like if the owner has put, which I know the answer, but if the owner has put like their car payment as part of the seller discretionary earnings, because it benefits the lifestyle of the owner, but it's not going to be part of the net profit for the business. So did they put their cell phone, their Wi-Fi? Do they take a deduction from their home mortgage office? I want to see like every transaction over the past couple of years in the due diligence phase. And if magically in there, all of a sudden it doesn't add up that the seller is making what they said it was, that's going to be a yellow flag for me. It's not going to kill the deal, but it's not going to, I want some clarification and quantify what the core lifestyle is impact. We're buying this as a lifestyle business and something that we can run on a day-to-day and not be an absentee owner on. So part of that is it's going to affect our vehicle payments. It's going to affect our phone bills and how we pay for our phones and internet. It's going to affect when we buy clothing, because that's going to be a business expense as an owner. Health insurance, we're going to dive deep under the hood. So that's the difference between a letter of intent and a purchase agreement. Letter of intent, it basically locks you in. You're an exclusive boyfriend-girlfriend kind of relationship. Purchase agreement is they tell you their entire dirty history, the goods, the bads, the baggage, if staff members are leaving, like everything is on the table and they got to put it all out there. And likewise, they're going to poke into your background. Am I legitimate? Is my background as I say it is? Do they truly like me? They may talk to some friends and family to see if I'm a valid person or like a legitimate person they want to sell to. And so at that point, once the purchase agreement is drafted and everything is signed off on the buyer and the seller, and then the due diligence period, the second item, also finishes up where I've seen everything under the hood, and that concludes. At that point, the ink starts to dry and we're ready to go to closing. And that's where I work with my lender to finish up SBA loans, down payments, proof of funds, that kind of thing. So that's the difference between letter of intent, purchase agreement. And I know this is a long one, but I wish someone had outlined it to me the way that I hopefully am to you. I know I take forever to get to the point, but I'm going to wrap it up here. That's the difference.
This has been another episode of the Business Buyer Diaries. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I hope you're realizing that business ownership is no cakewalk. Check the podcast notes for a link to the DIY due diligence program, the complete list of show sponsors, and for media inquiries. Music written and composed by Wes Schrock. I'm your host, Nathan Platter. Join me again on the next one.